The thing that started my slide to being a prodigal was this. My son was in a class, and the person teaching the class was talking about intimate relationships descriptively and graphically. We found the person teaching the class was awaiting his trial for being a pedophile. When I confronted the pastor about it, I found that he knew this and had allowed the person to teach anyway. I mentioned that according to the rules the pastor had set, if anyone was accused of a crime, they could not be in a leadership position unless the charges were resolved. The pastor responded that he had vetted his friend and he was fine to teach, that I was angry because he had called me out for stirring up trouble. I told the pastor the trouble was him not following the rules he set. I left that church, and within 2 years, I was a prodigal, not attending church anywhere. Becoming a prodigal took time. The situation with the pastor hit me hard because I'd done counseling with that pastor about my sexual abuse. So when I saw someone in a leadership position that seemed to be grooming my son, I cannot deny that it made me angry. I let that situation cloud my judgment. I left that church and tried to fit into different places over a couple of years. I was like Goldilocks. One church was too far away. Another church only wanted my wife and me for our abilities and did not want to help fix my spiritual hurt. Another church had a disaster happen and ended up closing. Another church was pastored by a former pastor I loved, but it was large and I did not feel comfortable there. Many other things happened over the 2 years that pushed me away and into being a prodigal. At the church I'd left, I was the alternate lead tenor on the main praise team and the main tenor on the second praise team. My main role was the sound engineer. I could hear the band and the singers and mix it. I was told that when I was in the sound booth, the compliments always came about how good the team sounded. The pastor at one of the churches I tried to go to seemed thrilled that we arrived. He told me how he could use us in so many ways. He mentioned I would be a great asset for the sound booth. I attempted to talk to that pastor about what had happened that brought me to his church. That pastor shut me down and told me not to talk about what happened at my previous church. I was spiritually bleeding out, and he didn't want to help me heal my wounds. He did tell me he would use me. I guess he wanted to use me until I died spiritually. I started going to a new church. This church was started and pastored by 2 married couples that had been the band that comprised the second praise team that I was the lead tenor for. Another married couple that had been my neighbors also attended that church. I had known the wife of that couple for many years. She and I had been in the same youth group and sang in the youth choir together. That church dissolved when my friend from my youth group days and the husband of one of the pastoral team left their spouses and divorced and married each other. Another church I thought I would fit into was gone. I received a phone call from a person who had molested me at 10. He told me that he had become a Christian and wanted my forgiveness for what he had done to me. I forgave him, and soon after that, I had an auto accident. This person did body work, and to show I forgave him, I offered him the job to fix my car. This proved that while he was saying he was a Christian, he was not a mature Christian. He talked down to me and was very condescending to me. He took it to the point of questioning my manhood, saying to someone that he knew my maiden name and that my name I go by now must be my wife's name. My mother had always told people that my last name was my stepfather's name. I go by my legal name as an adult. That was just another reason to not like Christians. I thought this is how Christians act. And I don't think I want to be around them anymore. While everything else was going on with the different churches I tried to attend, my mother passed away. At the time, one of my sisters was married to Billy Graham's nephew. His father, John Graham, preached my mother's eulogy. At this point, I had decided I was finished with organized religion. My mom's favorite hymn was In the Garden, and I sang it during the eulogy service. After this, I was offered lead singer in some secular bands. I refused the offers. I made a vow to God that I would only sing for Him. I could not break that vow, so I stopped singing altogether. I didn't hate God. I hated God's people and did not want to be around them. In the previous 6 videos, I've explained what happened to make me a prodigal. One of the events would not have slowed me down. The problem was I was hurting and could not gain my spiritual balance and peace. Jentezen Franklin did a sermon called Deep Wounds, Deep Healing that explained what happened to me. I was wounded over and over. I'd never recovered from the first wound. Without a church family to nurture me, I could not heal. I spiritually died inside and walked away from my faith.